If you don't know the notes on your guitar neck, you don't know shit. These are the famous words of Grammy Award winning virtuoso Joe Satriani, and he's 100% right. Okay, so let's talk about why, and let's talk about how you can learn the notes on the neck if you are interested in getting good at playing the guitar. If you are struggling with things like rhythm guitar and soloing and all of that, my bet is that you probably don't know the notes well enough. I know this because I see it all the time in people that I'm teaching. The first thing I'll say to them is, play me a C sharp on your G string, and then they can't do it. And we'll go, well, there's the first thing we've got to rectify. That's a really big problem. So for example, let's say that from a rhythm guitar perspective, you want to be playing a C major 7 chord. You're reading a chord chart and there's a C major 7. The first thing ideally be thinking is, well, what inversion or where on the neck that I'm going to be playing it. Now, to find out what shape you're going to use, and what you would do is you'd look for a C root note. So if I go to the lowest place I can fret one on the guitar, I've got a C here. I don't want to use open strings, I want to play everything fretted. So the next root note after that is here, and that's telling me that I can use this shape around that root note, okay? What I'm actually using is shape 4 of the cage system. It doesn't even really matter for you to know that right off the bat. I mean, it's good for you to know that right off the bat. What I'm doing is I'm just looking at the root note relationship and building a shape around those root notes, okay? So it started with knowing the notes. Let's say if I was in a completely different position around about the 8th fret areas, what we would call shape 1 from the cage system. I've got a root note here, I've got one here, and I've got one here, here, and here. This note is a major 7, not a root note at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this shape around those root notes, and I know this as a zonal and positional way to see the guitar neck, okay? So imagine that you're a soloist, and let's imagine that what we're going to do is we're going to go from that C major 7 into a G7, back to C major 7. So over that you could use, and like there'll be lots of different people saying, oh, you really ought to outline the chords a bit more and all that stuff. You probably can, but you know, for the sake of this video, let's keep this simple. Over that you could just play the C major scale in its entirety. How do I know how to play that shape there? Well, what I'm doing, again, I'm using the root notes that is basically giving me a framework for which I know that when I see those root notes, I can build that scale shape around it. And I could do that anywhere on the guitar neck. So if I go back to my lower part of the guitar neck here, here's a C, here's another C. Around that, if I play this shape, I know it gives me the C major scale. If I move to the next position, I've got a root note here, I've got one here, I've got one here. That tells me that I can use this shape for the C major scale. Now, anyone who's watching this and knows what I'm doing, I'm obviously using the cage system. If you don't know what I'm doing, basically this all stems from knowing the notes on the fretboard. It's super, super important. Around knowing those root notes, I'm then able to build the shapes. So this works if I'm going to go to a completely different key. Let's say that I'm playing from C major and then we're going to modulate to something like E flat major 7. Okay, so I've gone straight to that in terms of the chord. How have I done it? I'm thinking about this off the top of my head. I'm imagining that I'm reading a chord chart or something like that. But what I just thought about was E flat major 7. So first things first, I need to know where the root note is. Here's an E flat, here's another E flat. I know what the chord shape is that I can build around that. And then let's say if I wanted to play the major scale around it, okay? Or again, I'd be looking at that as my root notes, and then I've got I just know instantly what the shape is based root note relationship. I've actually used 3 notes per string there. But you could play a specifically caged shape. That's for a different lesson. That doesn't particularly matter to what we're talking about here. But effectively, if you are struggling to understand where to find your chords on the guitar neck or any other harmonic device, whether it's a scale, a triad, anything like that. You can't solo over the backing tracks that you want to. You're just a bit stuck. I could almost guarantee that that is the first thing that you need to solve. Because I bet if you're watching this video, if you're completely honest with yourself, I bet you don't know the notes on the neck as well as you ought to, and it's holding you back. So if you've been watching this video and you think that that completely speaks to you, one of the things that I would highly recommend that you do is get my free soloing course that I've put in the links in the description. You can get hold of that, and it will change things for you quite drastically, as long as you actually do the work. Don't sign up to it and then not look at the course, because that would be really a waste of your time. Okay guys, thanks for watching the video. I'll see you next time.